How the dickens are the pair of you?
I'm good. I've finished my drink I got from the Asian supermarket with weird bits of coconut jelly in, so I'm gonna go get a beer.
Okay,
Cool.
that sounds like a pretty decent plan. I
Yeah.
hit record, but don't worry. Like,
Tom, I
What?
never worry.
yeah.
So word on the street is you're off to a gig tonight, Thomas.
I am. I'm gonna go see the Deer Hunter.
Oh, how exciting for you.
Playing the first show in the UK. Well, the first tour in the UK since the last time they played, which was 2017, which was also the first gig that I ever went to.
The first gig you went to was in 2017?
Wait,
I forget you're such a
2016.
baby.
2016.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was at the Deaf Institute in Manchester, which is a venue that I hold near and dear to my heart, even if it doesn't exist anymore.
I fucking adore the Deaf Institute.
Yes, man.
So sick.
We were just saying, because I'm going to go see the Deer Hunter, and my first gig was them playing at the Deaf Institute in 2016.
The Deer Hunter or the Deer Hunter?
The Deer Hunter, not Deer Hunter, the other band.
No, but Deer Hunter like the Robert De Niro movie, or like Deer Hunter?
No,
Deer Hunter.
The Deer
I'm
Hunter
to tell you that I'm leaving you.
Yeah, it's that second one. It's the DEAR Hunter.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners will appreciate that clarification.
Yeah, it's really irritating because whenever I say, "Oh, I'm off to go see the Deer Hunter," or I'm like, "Have you heard the new Deer Hunter album?" Usually people are like, "Oh, I know who they are," and then they put on Deer Hunter, like the De Niro movie, but the band that's spelled that same way, and I'm like, that's not the same band. It's a different one. It's two of them. Not a fan of either of them. Well, I'm a fan of one of them. Fucking love one of them.
Sam has such an angry expression on his face.
I was stopping the video thing that I was watching, and then it tried to ask me a bunch of shit.
I see.
Now,
Ed, if you've not noticed, by the way, I'm sharing my screen, but this is because we have the number wheel picker and also the whole draft on this video, so nobody needs to look up anything.
I'm gonna get the draft up on mine just because when I tend to watch people share their screens, it seems to give me a bit of a whip around.
That's not a bad show.
It makes me do whippets. God, I miss whippets.
I have a real soft spot for the film Whippet.
For the film Whippet?
Yeah, I really do. It's one of the, when like there's certain films that you like watch when you don't feel very well.
Oh yeah, that's me
Like
with Moneyball.
Yeah, the film about a competitive roller derby, and it's got Jimmy Fallon in it.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking dogs.
No, Moneyball is not a dorky film, but it is a dorky film.
Whippet's a very dorky film.
I know Whippet's a very dorky film. It has fucking Jimmy Fallon in.
Yep.
Wretch of a human being.
Him or me?
Him.
You're an angel from God.
Oh, you are too kind.
Showered in sprinkles.
That would insinuate that he is to be eaten, would it not?
Not necessarily. You don't eat cards, and some cards usually have like glitter or confetti.
Well, no one just like rolls in some hundreds and thousands because it looks good.
You
so they
can't
do it
see.
for sexual gratification. I'm gonna struggle through this episode because I've just come off the back of a very big lunch.
That was a poor strategic decision.
No, my loyalties with lunch.
Was it a good lunch, or did you just?
It was a good lunch.
Okay.
What did you have?
You don't want to.
Well, I just had a chicken and bacon sandwich and a bit of crisps. a sausage roll, like a half a dozen honey roast peanuts, and a little bit of cake that I made over the week.
That's like what a mouse unwraps from like a little bindle. That's
That's what
so
that's what the
little
meal
food.
of lunch is.
Yeah, Max, I once watched Sam Longton eat 3 feet of burrito for lunch. Like, I think 3 hours after I'd made him a full English as well. It was remarkably impressive.
It wasn't a very small sausage. It was a fairly decent sized sausage roll.
I thought that you were just going to keep naming things then, but just like with a lengthy pause between them, like chicken bacon sandwich and a sausage roll, half a dozen peanuts, some crisps,
14 peas,
a cake,
quiche with Carol Vorderman's face on it.
Now, is that in the egg or
Jameson Williams' socks?
I know they've sculpted her face out of egg.
But surely it should be Lorraine Kelly for Akeisha's Lorraine.
God.
That is the stupidest joke I will ever tell on this podcast.
No, I'm afraid it isn't.
Yeah, Max will beat that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't tell a joke that Tom tells. Tom tells a joke that Tom tells.
Yeah,
True.
But by the standards of this podcast, that was a well thought out and like thought provoking piece.
if you need to disappear for 30 minutes to take 3 screenshots from Chrome for like the setup to a joke that has come and gone, then Max is your guy.
That's me.
Canal. All right. The NFL draft was this past weekend.
Are we doing the intro?
Happened last week. Yeah, we are.
Okay.
But shush.
Confident a bit.
He's one stage out of actually like talking over the credits. He's now talking over the preamble before the credits.
I have just done something for us all, which is I'm going to play the intro, but I have server muted Sam, so I have censored the boy.
What's the point?
Hello, and welcome to Stiff Upper Lip Podcast, the NFL podcast by Brits. We are in partnership with Gridiron Extra, and we are returning for our 3rd season. So yeah, on we begin with me, Ed.
Me, Emma.
I'm Sam.
I'm Max Saito.
And I'm Tom. And we're back. The NFL draft was last weekend. Definitely nothing happened with that intro spike that went off without a hitch. The NFL draft happened last weekend, and plenty has already been discussed by several individuals in the NFL scene. So what we're going to do instead is touch upon things in a random and seemingly ill thought out manner by using a random wheel generator from pick 1 to 262 and discussing whatever pick comes up then. So that's our plan for today. But first, some news, but also, how the devil are you all?
I feel like I was done dirty, as it were. Is Tom muted? No. Do we ever kibosh Tom? Sometimes. But I think it's in the spirit of a good show. As is...
Could you please save the airing of grievances till Festivus?
No.
Oh.
I just wanted, I wanted to express my distaste. We can bring it up at the next board meeting.
We'll table that one. We'll circle back around.
Yeah, and how are you, Ed?
I'm well. Yeah, I'm coming off a serious sort of Elden Ring high, so I'm just sort of basking in my own hate and wonder in equal measure.
I'm looking at Ed's eyes, and it's 95% iris right now. What's going on?
Yeah, no comment.
He's been taking pills designed to make him better at Elden Ring.
Yeah, and there's like a side effect. You get like really into feet.
Oh no.
The performance enhancing Estus flasks have proven to be a great detriment. And as
DeAndre
yeah.
Hopkins has been suspended 6 games for illegal bonfire tampering.
But his manner is like absolutely through the roof.
Just think about his dexterity rolls. They're going to be unbelievable.
Andre Hopkins have a wiki feet?
That's like 4 different streams of joke at the same time.
That's how we bring the news to you, through really shittily tangented jokes. Oh. But yes, DeAndre Hopkins, before we get into the draft talk, has been suspended for 6 games for violating the league's substance abuse policy. This is a performance-enhancing drugs thing, right? I didn't really read too much of it, but yeah, not a great start to an already sort of iffy Cardinals off-season. First, Kyler Murray deletes everything to do with the organisation off of Instagram. Then they remember they've still got Cliff Kingsbury. And then DeAndre Hopkins is suspended. Woof.
You forget, like, the fact that they traded for Marquise Brown, a player who the Ravens picked for 25th overall. They traded the 23rd overall pick for him.
And this is
after seeing what he's produced thus far.
Yeah, I was about to say this is after Hollywood Brown's pretty low tier production for a first round wide receiver.
I have distressing news, particularly for Ed. It would appear that WikiFeet is segregated by gender, and there are no male feet allowed.
What?
That's...
Right, end the podcast.
Surely feet are the one weird fetish where it doesn't matter, like, if it's a dude or not.
Yeah, I'd say there's a certain crossover of the population where it would be impossible to tell what gender the foot is.
Mm.
And that's what keeps me going every day.
So anyway, the Cardinals probably knew about this, which is why they got Marquise Brown, right?
Yeah.
It certainly seems that way.
Well, probably played a part, but also I think they got him because he goes way back with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And they're trying to placate him.
Yeah.
And also, Hollywood Brown apparently submitted a trade request at the start of the season.
I would never try to placate anyone.
No, I know.
Why would Hollywood Brown be the one trying to get the trade out of Baltimore when, like...
Because a receiver's value in the Baltimore offense is a lot less than it would be in, like, the Cardinals offense, I guess.
Yeah, but a receiver's value when it's Marquise Brown is already pretty substantially low to the rest of the NFL anyway.
Yeah, I do think... I don't know, because I think that the Ravens offense is so much different that it's kind of hard to pass judgment because...
It'd be like if John Brown decided to request a trade. Like, who gives a fuck?
If you give a receiver the option, you just cannot stop them running through a brick wall to get into Cliff Kingsbury's system.
To go play alongside such greats as 2023 AJ Green. Woo!
You're forgetting Andy Isabella.
Yeah, the true goat of the sneaky athletic wide receivers. He'll get his day. Braxton Berrios won't know what hit him when Andy Isabella shows up.
Andy Isabella's I feel like he's the old kid on the block, as per sneaky athletic wide receivers. White receivers.
But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins suspended. It's not the only member of a NFL organization that got the boot, though, because Dan Ventrell, the president of the Las Vegas Raiders, is no longer with the organization. There is no further comment. We have no context for why. what the fuck's going on? Why are the Raiders just permanently on this like weird train of kicking people out the door constantly?
Didn't Dan Ventrell do that song "Breathe" with Sean Paul? Sorry, that's Blue Cantrell. Not yet. I've looked it up.
Oh, that's why he left for a burgeoning R&B career.
Yeah, from 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Hey, he can still do the circuit.
Apparently, Dan Ventrell says Las Vegas Raiders owner Mark Davis ignored allegations of a hostile work environment and ousted him when he went to NFL.
Ooh.
So apparently he was like, it's a bit of a shithole here, and they kicked him out for saying as much.
Oh yeah, I'm just seeing a report from NBCSports.com's Pro Football Talk segment saying that he's claimed that multiple female employees have made comments and complaints about Mark Davis. So
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
We can't comment on an ongoing police investigation, but if you had to pick one NFL owner who looked like a fucking dodgy guy, yeah, maybe you would pick that guy.
I think Jeff Lurie. Looking at them all, if you lined them all up, Jeff Lurie would be the one for me.
I think they're all quite dodgy.
I don't know. I mean, Stan Kroenke's sort of like 1970s, like typical capitalist businessman bad guy in a kid film. That sits pretty poorly with me.
Is Mark Davis meant to look like that?
Mark Davis specifically pays to look like that.
He looks like how a 6-year-old thinks he'll look when he's like 75.
Have you ever seen that famous video from a few years ago of like Curtis, the kid from, I think it's from like Wife Swap or something, and she's trying to get him to go on a diet, and he's like, "But I don't want to make any deals anymore." And he's like fucking storming out the house because she's not letting him have any bacon anymore. Bacon is good for me. Yeah, that's what Mark Davis looks like.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I saw it in 2005.
Am I crazy, or does Mark Davis look like fucking the Crankies?
Yeah, he does have a very cranky vibe.
If you lined up all like 31 NFL owners, Mark Davis would look like the weirdest one. But if you lined up all 537,000 owners of the Green Bay Packers, he'd fall somewhere in the middle.
The system works.
All right. Next, the Giants potentially cutting ties with James Bradbury by the end of the week. Sam, what are your thoughts on this? I've sort of not really been able to follow it all that much because it seems like they've been trying to boot him out the door for this entire off season.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trying to shop him for a long time now, but I think they'd save like 11 million against the cap, I want to say, if they even if they just cut him. So, you know,
who are they going to spend that money on though? That's better than James Bradbury.
It's still available as well.
Stick that bitch in an ISA. Use it for some of Daniel Jones' guaranteed money next year.
Help to buy ISA for QBs.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. They're just putting 25% extra on the cost of QBs, and then when the scheme ends, they're just going to drop it back down by 25%. It's a scam.
Yeah, and you finally get into your new QB, and it's just leaks everywhere.
And his right leg is out of plumb by 45 degrees.
Yeah, and you don't actually own him; you just own like a bit of it.
Right. It beats the non-fungible QBs that some teams have got. This franchise is a bit outdated. They've still got a brick and mortar.
What's going to be the first team to as part of a marketing stunt place an ape in that active roster?
I think it's already been done in like 1921.
I mean, in the 1990s, for a promotion for like Buy Chimps or Dunstan Goes Wild.
No, remember that orangutan that did the draft pick?
I do.
Oh yeah, from the Colts one.
It was Dunstan.
He was quarterback of the Chicago Staleys for 5 years.
Nice to see him trot back out there.
Nice, but in another way, quite sad and upsetting.
What, the orangutan? Yeah.
The orangutan announced it. That sounds like the most 1970s shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was the year before McAfee got up, I think, or a couple of years before McAfee got up and used the orangutan as part of his speech.
Playing second fiddle to an orangutan.
Yeah, he was like, and then a fucking orangutan. Oh.
Was there anything special? Like, had the orangutan won a contest or like?
Probably from like
No,
the
I'm telling you, it
Indianapolis
was a former quarterback.
He was there on merit, damn it.
Speaking of, Daniel Jones. No, I couldn't quite segue that back on, but Daniel Jones's 5th-year option's been declined. Sam, as an avid Daniel Jones proprietor, what's your real makings of why the Giants are going to go at quarterback next year?
Well, it's like, I don't think there is anyone who watched even a bit of Daniel Jones over the past, 4 years who would think it would be a good idea to have got this 5th-year option. Like, if he plays really well, great, they can pay for him. But, if he doesn't, then, which, to be honest, I don't know whether he will. I'd really like him to. But it's not like it's going to be a massive loss if they have to, shell out for him next year because he actually stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to see the potential that Daniel Jones has and always has had, right? He's not Matt Hasselbeck, but the question of consistency for Daniel Jones is just the Giants have never built around him.
No, it would have been absurd to get the 5th-year option on it.
That's fair.
Even if they if he does play well and they franchise tag him or something, it'll all work out.
Daniel Jones getting the franchise tag and being paid as one of the top 5 QBs in the NFL would be.
I didn't say how much he'd improve,
but it would be funny. All right.
Do you know who the player who was picked by the orangutan? Well, I guess the orangutan didn't make the pick, but announced the pick.
He picked someone else. He's gone rogue.
It's erstwhile Steelers right tackle Zach Banner.
Oh, really? Is that who the orangutan selected?
There was someone from the Broncos standing at the side of the stage with a different name and a banana.
He was the first player of Chamorro descent to be drafted, well, by an orangutan, but in the NFL at all. That being the indigenous peoples of the Mariana Islands. So, congratulations to him, to the people of the Mariana Islands, and to the whole orangutan community.
And to Rocky the orangutan.
Yeah. It's a happy story for all parties, I think.
All right, let's move on.
We've been doing this for half an hour now. We've just talked about orangutans for 12 minutes.
Please, for the love of God, let's please. We've got some more news to wrap through. Turin Mathieu has signed with the Saints. It's finally happened. He has a landing spot, and it's in NOLA.
I just love how you do not care how Tyrann Mathieu should be pronounced and say it differently every single time.
Yeah, I know. I don't care for your pronunciation games. I say it how it is.
I'd like to hear him pronounce your name in revenge.
I have some more Rocky the Orangutan facts.
Yeah, go on.
Sam, you're the one. You're one of the two people that wanted this to be finished quickly.
Well, that was before I found out that the Raiders used a fucking orangutan to draft someone in the year 2017.
That was the Colts.
He was in a photo shoot with Fergie, and he...
Which Fergie?
The member of the royal family.
Okay.
He's part of the lawsuit against Andrew.
Fucking hell.
He also mimics parts of human speech to the degree that they're studying him. His capabilities.
Fucking hell. Oh.
I don't know how Max remained unmoved by that.
Another famous person of mixed Chamorro descent is American singer Pia Mia, who gained fame. Sorry, this has become Nevermind the Buzzcut. who gained fame in 2015 for her song "Do It Again," featuring known pair of absolute weapons, Chris Brown and Tyga. The song makes references to Guamanian culture.
Right. Wonderful. Wow. Anyway, let's move on to the.
I like to think we've all grown as people today.
I haven't. I feel like I've regressed as a human being. I've gone back to being a fucking orangutan. All right. Mateo signs to the Saints. They get some bolstering at the safety position. I still don't understand how they had cap room to do all of this. Like, they were... They were, what, 70 million over the cap going into this season? They've re-signed players, and now they get... I'm so confused. The cap doesn't exist. It's such a myth.
Yeah, the cap is meaningless at this point.
Yeah, but they also aren't really paying that many players very highly.
Oh,
I don't know. 3 years, $33 million for Mateo. We've got...
Yeah, but once you stop, if you're not paying a franchise quarterback,
yeah,
you can pay like 6 others, like, for their positions, star players.
I thought
right?
they were still paying a little bit of Breeze's salary. I thought that they'd kicked the can down the road so much that they're still paying like $8 million
Can you
or
still
whatever.
pay someone after their... I thought once you replace on the retired list, you didn't affect the cap number.
No, I thought that you still do.
I think he had some money from them last year, but I don't think he has any in this coming year.
That actually just reminds me a little bit, just moving laterally onto a sport that's actually currently ongoing right now. The Cincinnati Reds are in such a foul state, but I found out that Ken Griffey Jr. is still the 6th highest paid member of the Cincinnati Reds. He retired in 2004.
Wow.
Why are they still he's paying like $6 million for this year to not play for the Reds.
He's on a Legends contract. He's like Bret Hart.
Yeah, I don't understand it. No wonder the Reds are so bad. They're like 3-25 right now. They stink. Anyway.
Players on the reserve retired list don't count towards the cap. But if Drew Brees did still have contract left and he were to unretire, then the Saints would have to start paying him, which would be quite funny.
Yeah,
what, even if he unretires for someone else?
Well, this is the thing. Is there a statute of limitations on this as well? Like, imagine if you're like 70.
He just decides to wear his grievance and unretires.
If you are like under contract for 4 years and you retire after 2, basically that contract is paused. So if you were to return, the contract would resume. So you'd still be under contract with the team that. This is the whole Brett Favre situation.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Tyron more... might be funny because he has to reunite with Dan Sorensen. I've got nothing more to say about it.
All right, there's 3 more bits of like small news that's still developing. Well, one bit that's no longer developing. Bryce Callahan has signed with the Chargers. Hooray for him, I guess. Former Broncos cornerback. It's a fine signing. Whatever. Chargers
and they're getting Kyle Van Noy, so their defense next year is going to have a lot of names.
Yeah. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is home and fine after having a car crash, apparently. Did anyone see this?
Yep.
Classic
Jera.
Was he like ogling an attractive young woman out the window of a fast-moving car?
It doesn't seem to say anything about as to why, but he was taken to hospital on Wednesday, but it was just a minor automobile crash, which is what the NFL.com's got it listed as.
How
do you dare make fun of my automobile?
Unless it is explicitly stated, I will assume that at all times Jera Jones is ogling.
Well, the only time he's not is when his son takes off his glasses to clean them off so that he can ogle more clearly.
Wait, let me ogle.
Jerry Jones at this point, do you know the blobfish that when you take it out of water it becomes this sort of like gelatinous mass on the floor? That's what Jerry Jones has started to look like. There's just a still image. I don't know if anyone's still able to see my shared screen, but he looks so sad.
Mm-hmm.
So sad. Anyway, and the final bit of news,
regular old man
that's still ongoing is the Steelers are having their second round of interviews for the vacant general manager job at the moment. Ryan Cowden.
I was about to say, this really is not.
This is not. This is not me.
Look, it's just literally like we're just wrapping through the last little bits that have happened.
The remodel of the Pittsburgh Steelers bathrooms has been completed.
Oh my god!
Mike Tomlin saw a nice dog.
I mean, we spent the last like 5 months talking about how fucking Mike Zimmer and Ryan Poles were apparently fucking nice individuals and didn't deserve the negative press that they got, even though they were shit.
I don't think we've ever
fucking Rick Spielman. Trader Rick, everyone.
Take it back, Tom. None of us have ever said a single positive word about Ryan Poles.
No, you're right, actually. Nobody said anything nice about Ryan Poles.
Don't try and deflect from your shortcomings by bringing up Ed's lid brain.
Lid brain. All right, let's get into the sort of meat and bones of this actual show here. I have a random wheel generator from 1 to 62. Whatever number this lands on, we're gonna actually have to talk about this pick. Are we gonna do this one?
I think we could go one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time.
Since this was ostensibly my bright idea, I'll go first so I can demonstrate what my idea of how this would be like.
Okay.
Because I think we can still extract some pertinent conversation, but it'll also be funny.
Right. Perfect. Okay. Let's spin the wheel. Max, you're up first. Let's see what's kicking. All right. Wheel spinning. 235.
Oh, God.
Which is 235 is Daniel Hardy, the linebacker from Montana State to the Los Angeles Rams.
The Bobcats. I know. Where are they based? I know. I follow a guy
Montana
from
State.
American.
Yeah, the Bobcats.
I follow a guy on Twitter who's went to Montana State, and he sometimes shares pictures of it, and it looks bloody beautiful. They're a FCS team who got waxed in the FCS finals by North Dakota State this year, and I'm assuming they got further than they normally do. So I'm assuming this young man, Daniel Hardy, who sounds like an actor, was quite a key player for them.
He was, yeah. I actually know a tiny little bit about this Montana State season because I like Troy Anderson so much.
I was about to say Troy Anderson was there,
and he and Daniel Hardy were like one of the best linebacker pairings in the country this year.
What model of footballer is he, like an off ball, or is he like a thumping linebacker?
He's more of a thumper.
Well, the funny thing is that I've clicked on the 2021 Montana State roster and it's got him listed as a defensive end on here. So Wikipedia got me confused.
He's more of a thumper.
I think a lot's asked of modern linebackers.
He's their Von Miller replacement. Right, he's going to walk in there and step right into the role vacated by Von Miller.
Oh, I assume him and Bobby Wagner will be competing.
No, if he's listed as a defensive end, he must be an outside linebacker.
Oh shit!
Daniel Hardy. His birthday is December the 15th, 1998. So he's exactly to the day 1 year older than my younger brother. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He was a transfer. He was a transfer from.
This is a rich vein.
No, wait. He was a transfer from College of the Siskiyous, which is a public community college with campuses in a town called Weed, okay, in Northern California. Famous alumni. I don't know who any of these people are.
Is this what you wanted to happen with this segment?
This is legitimately exactly what I wanted to happen. Right, I think we've bled the well dry for young Dan Hardy. We wish him the best. What we need to do is make a list of all the players that we get up, and keep tabs of them throughout their career.
That's
the salt. Right. We wish them the best.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel Hardy. There we go. Right. Who wants next? Is this going to be me, Ed, or Sam? Who wants it?
Oh, give me it.
All right. Spin the wheel. Straight down the middle. And we are number 222. Oh, yeah, which is Montaric Brown from Arkansas, cornerback, Jacksonville Jaguars.
The first pick in the 7th round.
Yeah.
By the way.
I assume.
So there you go.
They must have run up to get Montaric Brown as an American football cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Football League. I mean, what are you gonna? I'd say the exact same thing for any person that the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted.
Well, I mean,
the warm body.
Friend of the show, Ben Matthews really liked Montaric Brown, as I recall. He had him like 4th in his like cornerback depth chart.
Are you serious?
4th?
I think he was very, very high on him. Yeah.
Holy moly! Okay, but the Jags at the end of the 6th took another cornerback before this guy. The less said about Greg Jr., the better. It's not even kidding. From Wichita Baptiste.
I'm getting the word. Cornerback.
During his recruitment, Montaric Brown was the number 1 player in the state of Arkansas.
Holy shit.
And also, his nickname in college was Montaric Buster Brown. So making that what you feel.
Oh my god. Okay. Ed, do you want next?
Sure, yeah.
You'll be delighted by
this.
It's
Lewis Cine.
Number 32 to the Minnesota Vikings, Lewis Cine, safety out of Georgia. What a fucking wheel spin, Ed.
Was never rated as the best player in Arkansas.
One of the team leaders on the sort of national championship Georgia team.
Montaric Brown.
A very, very remarkably rich man's Montaric Brown.
Do you want to talk about the circumstances of why the Vikings were picking at 32, though, Ed?
Yeah.
Just because the Lewis Cine trade wasn't the only pick, wasn't the only thing that happened here.
No, I will say that like if we can discuss this on 2 levels, like number 1, Cine is a very good player and is certainly not the 32nd best player in this draft. But also, the Vikings traded down 20 spots with Detroit, and in what's been regarded since as a very, very poor move. So, like, negative points on the draft, but plus points on the player because he's really good.
When you say regarded since, was
it's
time.
Well, it's been roundly criticised by everyone other than the sort of the Minnesota like player tree. So. Difficult.
The Minnesota player tree sounds like some kind of mob boss mentality, mafia kind of shit with a Minnesota player mentality.
It sounds like It sounds like the worst tree in the Arboretum.
More like Quessy, a few more picks.
Oh But regarding Lewis Seen, Ed, the actual player itself,
he'll be a very good player. He was a team leader at Georgia, and one of, I think it was 5 defensive players drafted from Georgia in the first round.
He wasn't. Yeah. Was he from? Oh, he was from Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're sort of pussyfooting around here. On a scale of 1 to 10, Ed, how upset are you about the fact that the Vikings could have had Kyle Hamilton and then traded back 20 and took a safety, which indicated that they thought safety was a need?
Oh, I at the time I was utterly beside myself, and now I'm still very upset with how it happened. But
you've had the opportunity to have a few hits on the copium pipe.
Yes. Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
It's a well-worn pipe for many people this summer, myself included.
Next up, I think, if we can announce it, Tom.
Yeah, the next one for me is number 17 came out on the wheel, which means that it's the 17th pick, which was Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now,
that's still, as far as top 20 picks go, extremely low wattage.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing that I can say about this is that Lee Wakefield, a friend of the show from Full 10 Yards, is a massive, massive fan of this pick. He is a Chargers fan. He was absolutely fucking buzzing about this guy. And the Chargers getting some interior O-line help after last year drafting Slater, that is massive for not only their pass game, but also their run game as well. And, I mean, considering that he knows way more about the draft process than I do, I'm going to basically go based off of what he said, which is, this is a great pick. Chargers have got great value there, and wonderful. But yeah, Zion Johnson to the Chargers. What a nice little move for everyone involved there. Good value, good position of need.
He was always famously a weak spot for the Chargers, but they've now got Rashawn Slater, Corey Linsley, Matt Feeler, and now Zion Johnson on that O-line, which is quite a worrisome prospect for the AFC West.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of great names on there, so be interesting to see how they do going forward. But yeah, that was pick number 7.
LA Chargers, off-season champions from now until the end of time.
Max, it's back to you, and you're not gonna like this, but it's pick 191, 6th round, Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Jalen Naylor from Michigan State.
Jalen Naylor?
Yeah. Nicknamed Speedy. That's the first thing that happens when I hover over his Wikipedia page.
Nice. Yeah. Speedy Naylor. I like that.
As I recall, he had a really high drop rate coming out of college, Jalen Naylor.
I was going to say, I have to be honest, like, obviously, like, the only college conference I really vaguely follow is the Big Ten, of which Michigan State is a constituent member. I've not really heard of him. Let's have a look on the Draft Network, shall we? He served as the Spartans' big play extraordinaire in the passing game over the past 2 seasons, and leaves East Lansing with nearly 17 yards per
God.
Okay, so he's like okay, it sounds like he's going to be a return guy.
Potentially, although like there's the Michigan State connection with Kirk. That's exciting.
Okay, but Kirk was there 10 years.
I was about to say it.
I don't think Kirk was playing like hacky sack there in his off season.
Kirk drops back in the pocket and he's like, that guy's a Pi Gamma Tau guy. No, I don't know. I think is returner an area of need for the Vikings?
He's just like,
No, we've got Nwangu.
Like, hey, let's see you at the Alpha Pi kegger.
Oh yeah, he's 6'1", 190, so he really profiles physically as a nimble as a nimble return guy. He's not going to be playing much on the outside, is he?
Not with the depth that Minnesota have, but I think they do well picking up late round contributors generally. Minnesota do, so I'm interested to see what he can do.
All right, let's move on. Sam, pick 28, which is Green Bay Packers defensive tackle out of Georgia, Devontae Wyatt. Which, when I saw this pick come up, it made me chuckle because Max was so close to getting something more interesting.
I don't know. I'm kind of, the whole point of it was to get into some really obscure shit, so I'm fine.
I mean, I don't really I don't hate the pick. Like, all the premium wide receivers are gone. Certainly, all the ones that they had pegged as first round prospects. So, what was there to do other than add a nice little guy?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a nice little guy,
makes it sound like he's just gonna sit on Brian Gutekunst's desk.
If you're talking about the copium pipe, I mean, drafting it doesn't really make any sense to me. They used 2 second-round picks to draft Christian Watson. 6 picks after this pick, so it's a little confusing. That is a little confusing, but if you don't have a first-round pick on a guy, maybe they don't want him. I don't know. There's something at play there. But I think the second biggest need for the Packers, which has been a need for 10 years, is to stiffen up the run defense. So you take an inside linebacker, you take a defensive tackle, and there's quite a lot of logic to that. I don't think it was getting people hot under the collar, but it's a meat and potatoes pick. If it works out, you'll be pleased to have it.
This isn't
working people.
This isn't reverse copium, but aren't there significant character concerns about Devontae Wyatt?
Yeah, he was involved in a verbal altercation which involved a door being kicked in at college, but that was, I think that was 3 years ago, and it wasn't. I don't know. I'd not heard of it, and it wasn't I thought someone mentioned it, and I looked him up on Wikipedia, and he didn't have a legal history or whatever. So I don't know. Yeah, that's obviously a pretty bad thing to do, but it wasn't. I don't know. Perhaps there are players with bigger red flags, and if it's been 3 years and it wasn't a physical occasion, maybe he'll grow up.
Yeah, you kind of tend to
nachos with someone, and they took all the bits with the cheese and the ground beef on.
And he was just left with
dry tips.
Mesa and sort of slightly cloying chilies.
You hate to see it. They shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Okay, Ed, you were next, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, which means that you get pick 229, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver out of Rutgers, Bo Melton.
This is interesting. Yeah, Bo Melton Mowbray. That's it.
Yeah.
No, this is actually quite a big deal, this one, because I do know a little bit about Bo Melton. I know the amount of information I've just sort of absorbed by osmosis this year. So he went to Rutgers because it was a local school, but he was quite highly recruited, and he could have gone to a lot of places. I think he had offers from LSU and places like that. So look at Bo Melton as being a similar kind of guy to Stephon Diggs, who could really outplay his outplay his draft status because he went to a smaller school to be closer to family. Bo Melton could be very, very good, and is in my mind was probably in that second tier of wide receivers.
Now, is the reason you paid attention to him partially because you were drawn to classic Wilkins player, linebacker for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Olakunle Fatukasi?
Well, brother of Foley Fatukasi, the new Jags pickup.
Potentially.
I mean, yes.
Bo Melton had, when he was playing for Rutgers, he had a team high in receiving yards against my Wisconsin Badgers in what can only be described as a 52-3 drubbing in November, where he finished with 61 yards. And the Draft Network rated that as their best game tape that they had of him. So there's a little to work with. They actually had him ranked as the wide receiver directly after the bloke, Jalen Naylor. So yeah, I don't know. He also it sounds like his profiling is a bit of as a gadget player, return specialist for Seattle.
Okay.
Which,
right.
If you were going to Seattle, maybe you prefer that to being a wide receiver catching passes from Gino or Drew.
You'll never believe this. We have another 7th round player. Mine is pick 223, the second pick in the 7th round. Isaiah Thomas from Oklahoma, defensive end to the Cleveland Browns.
The basketball player.
No,
This year we've had both Isaiah Thomas and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Sorry. The Isaiah Thomas Wikipedia page is really funny. It just says college career
8.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. That's literally it. I don't have anything to work with, but the fact that he is a Cleveland Brown means that I will have to be skipping out of this because I said that I wouldn't talk about the Browns all season. So that's me off the hook. Back onto Max.
34 hours ago. Someone just added 8.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss with no full stop.
Max, are you prepared to talk about another? Are you prepared to talk about another 7th round pick by any chance?
Yeah, of course I am. Who is it?
It's Balin Spector, pick 231 to the Buffalo Bills, linebacker out of Clemson.
Balin
Spector. Pick 231. Oh, I've just realised in this same round we also got Chris Paul, so we got CP3, Isaiah Thomas, and Kobe Bryant in one draft.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say the pick used to take Balin Spector was acquired by Buffalo in a trade with Atlanta for tight end Lee Smith. So jot that one down.
One for you, start heads.
What position does this guy play? Linebacker.
Linebacker.
Okay, here's a fun game. Has anyone got a picture of him up in front of them or anything?
No.
I hope not. Right. Balin Spector, right? What category of ethnic group do you think this guy falls under?
Well, I mean, I won't answer that, but what I will say is, what I will say is that all 4 syllables of his name could go in any order, and it would still be a man's name.
Specton,
Specton Baylor, Torlin Spec Bay,
Paulin Spector. No. Right. I don't know a damn thing about this guy.
I've pulled up a picture.
If I look up,
okay, he's white. Actually, wait. He's quite a handsome looking fella. It's Baylor.
Yeah. He comes from a family full of Clemson Tigers, and his father, brother, and sister are all graduates.
Looking at his picture,
and if you look up Balin Spector's profile on the Draft Network, it says Balin-Spector ADCAAED-4502-A67B-6F112EDBA227. So put some respect on my man's name, Balin Beta.
If you're looking at the same picture of him from the Clemson Tigers website, if you'd have finished that sentence with, he comes from a long line of hill folk, I would not have been surprised.
He looks a little bit like a cross between Mitch Trubisky and Steven Adams or someone.
I do hope that someone is able to talk about this pick in more detail, but I had a bit of a wobble a minute ago because I saw that the 253rd pick in the draft was a safety from Kansas State called Russ Yeast.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was going to go undrafted, but he was a bit of a late riser up there draft.
Boo!
Shut the hell
Oh,
up.
is he on a prove it deal?
Oh my god. Fucking Christ. Alright, let's move on. Sam, you got pick 185, so a 6th rounder. Christian Benford, cornerback out of Villarreal Nova, to the Buffalo Bills.
Villarreal Nova.
Villanova. I'm just trying to make any form of fun out of this guy. I've got no idea.
I mean,
This is just like some guy.
That's kind of the only thing that I can say about this pick is that it's the one position they really had a hole at. So, however Christian Benford performed for the Villanova Wildcats, if he can get in there and shake up the place, hey.
Didn't the Bills draft another linebacker earlier? Like, wasn't the Kyle Brandt pick a Bills linebacker?
Ayer Lamb.
No, he's...
Kyle
He's a corner.
Yeah, corner, but Christian Benford's a corner.
Oh, sorry.
But yes, they did draft a corner earlier.
Wow.
Christian Benford last season had 7 interceptions and 18 pass breakups. That's not bad.
That's pretty decent, that.
Production not to be sniffed at.
Another genuinely decent point is that I think Sean McDermott is a very good developer of defensive backs. So, as far as landing spots go, it's not a bad one for him.
Yeah, definitely could have been worse. Ed, do you want your pick now?
Yeah, hit me.
Does not want to live in.
Pick 161. DeMarco Jackson from Appalachian State, linebacker to the New Orleans Saints.
Not a player I'm aware of.
Jackson.
Go on, then hit us with your DeMarco Jackson.
No, I was going to say that. I thought that's what you were going to say.
Oh, I see. No, I have no knowledge.
I've just looked him up. He is a corner of former NFL running back Maurice Morris.
Who's a corner of him?
Did you
A
say?
cousin. Sorry.
Did you say
Put him
Maurice
together like
Morris?
Exodia.
His name is Maurice Morris.
Yeah, that's the old running back that DeMarco Jackson is cousin of. And now I need to look up who Maurice Morris is.
Welcome to
He's the cousin of
Stiffer Pullen.
Saints linebacker DeMarco Jackson.
Ed looks like a guy that went to Appalachian State.
I have an Appalachian State vibe to me. Was that
You mean that in Bad Light with a Steady Camera you could be mistaken for Bigfoot?
Yeah, well, wasn't that the college basketball player who looked like Bigfoot? Wasn't he? Didn't he play for Appalachian State?
I don't know.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I think he played for Wichita State.
It was one of those like backwards colleges.
Backwards college.
Speaking of Bigfoot, by the way,
Nikola Jokic round on the floor of a barbershop, I'd be convinced.
speaking of Bigfoot, I saw an interesting map recently that was local sightings of Bigfoot, and it highlighted all of the areas, and in the exact same areas, number of fursuits owned in the United States. I think that people just saw fairies, but built an entire fucking thing over it.
So what we're saying is
Bigfoot is actually just a fairy. Yeah. Well, no, not DeMarco Jackson. I mean, he might be.
No.
If Baker Mayfield doesn't get picked up by a team, do you think he's going to make his living on True TV's Finding Bigfoot?
I reckon
I think he's there now.
Yeah.
It certainly seems more like he would than Sam Darnold would.
No, Sam Darnold's not edgy enough to believe in that. He's just into chemtrails.
No, I think I think we're going to come back to this 30 years from now, and Baker Mayfield's going to be the American Danny Dyer.
Oh.
It's like America's hardest prisons with Baker Mayfield.
Well, in fairness, like, if Chris Sims had a personality, that's what he'd be. So, like, it checks out.
I'm eating the most disgusting cryptids this side of the Mississippi.
You know, it's Mothman!
I had a mouthful of water. I almost did an old-fashioned spit take, man. Oh, God.
I'm here to collect a debt of 30,000 pesos from the Chupacabra. All right, Tom.
Okay, pick 190 to the Atlanta Falcons. Guard out of Georgia, Justin Schaefer. Now, again, I don't know very much about these late round picks.
How are so many of these sub-6th round?
I don't know. I've got no idea. But maybe it's just because of the sheer quantity of like post 4th round picks that we've got to deal with. But
they've all been linebackers and like linemen and corners.
They have. There's not been like a single splash player yet. I'm just tempted to just entirely move on.
Okay,
no, you
sorry,
don't get out of it like that. You don't get out of it.
Sorry, okay. Schaefer grew up in Ellenwood, Georgia, and attended Cedar Grove High School.
It would be funny if there was a woman who lived in Ellenwood called Ellen Wood, wouldn't it?
He had a season-ending neck injury in his second ever game as a junior.
Oh no!
He decided to utilize the extra year of eligibility so he could play for a 5th season because of the COVID pandemic.
The draft network has some lines here that do not paint a good picture for Justin Schaefer's outlook in the NFL. Here's one for you.
Go on.
However, he doesn't engage well due to his lack of good athleticism.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
But he's got a lot of bad athleticism.
I like his strengths, though. Girthy, full frame.
He doesn't redirect with fluidity and is certainly best served remaining inside. In the NFL, he is a developmental player who plays one position. This will make it challenging for him to roster initially.
I mean, this is the thing as well. If we look at it in the wider context, do we trust the Falcons to draft or train any lineman at all?
Nope. Hands are unfocused. Does not sound like a good player to me.
You know, this is exactly the kind of thing that I was thinking of when I suggested this, because this might be the most coverage that Justin Schaefer ever gets on an even tangentially related NFL podcast.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I feel like what we've basically done is said that we don't know who he is and then look at his NFL draft profile and slam him for it. You know what? I'm backing Justin Schaefer. I'm adding him to the list that I've been.
He's on the Christmas card list.
Literally every name that's come up so far, I'm gonna keep this list, and we're gonna keep track of them throughout the season. Right. And how many of them actually get cut is gonna be an interesting one. I reckon there's gonna be
one more time around the horn. One more time.
Once more.
Yeah, let's go one more around the horn, and we're into the second round, Max. Can you believe it? Kenneth Walker III, running back out of Michigan State to the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, wow.
We get our splash player.
Well, Kenny Walker wasn't really much of an explosive running back in Michigan State. He was very good. He had definitely a breakout year. He is such a Seahawks type player.
He plays running back.
Yeah, no, honestly, this guy he's definitely better than some of the dross they've had there. But I was thinking about this actually the other day, that a funny segment for the podcast, or if we were to redo the quiz, would be, has this running back played for the Seahawks? Honestly, there are so many, because I was thinking about Thomas Rawls, Justin Forsett, fucking Robert Turbin was there, Christian Michael, Mike Davis was there for a year. I mean, yeah, Alex Collins is back for a second go around the horn. You know, it's just these guys. a great example would be like Carlos Hyde. Has he played for the Seahawks?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris Ivory. Has he played for the Seahawks?
No.
No. Okay, I'm gonna have to.
No, but I do like
great
this
people.
idea though.
Yeah, I mean, we can refine it further, but what I will say about this pick, before we move on, is it is tinged with a little bit of sadness, because I think the realization with this pick is that Chris Carson's career might be over, which is like that's a little bit of a sad realization. If Seattle are drafting a running back that high,
they're also saying that they're also thinking that Rashad Penny. Remember he went on that mental stretch at the end of the year. This pick might be saying like we don't think that's replicable for next year, and they're really going to need to have like a pounder that they can use a lot, because they're not going to want to be throwing the ball very much, I would imagine, next year. This guy would be a first round pick in years gone by for sure, guaranteed.
Okay, Sam, you've got pick 108, 4th round, to the Cleveland Browns. Defensive tackle Perrion Winfrey out of Oklahoma. Which
Not a real name.
this is the most 1952 player that I think I've heard.
I will respectfully decline to mention anything all about this team and their exploits.
I like the idea of it.
Instead,
Would you like to talk about pick 109 instead? Kobe Bryant to the Seattle Seahawks.
Would you like to talk about pick 118 instead? Because then we can talk about the two. Remember the two 118 guys? I think they were called 118 and 118. They would always be on like in the middle of The Simpsons on Channel 4.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the 118 guys. Yeah. As a
Funnily enough, that would be a Vikings pick.
Not talking about the Browns, but Perrion Winfrey was a community college transfer to Oklahoma, and he started out at Iowa Western Community College, which is also the alumnus of Geronimo Allison.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
There you go. That's 6 degrees of Geronimo Allison for you.
I'm still adding him to the list, but the lack of talking about this morally reprehensible franchise is nice.
We'll get him a 49p card. The other ones we'll get from Paper Chase. We'll get this one from Card Factory.
A day to remember card. Oh God, Ed.
I was gonna say, instead of talking about the Browns, like from like round 4 on, how many of these people are gonna hit? Like really?
Not many.
Exactly. From rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 28.2% of players get a contract renewal.
Yeah, but this is the point of this exercise. Is we're shining a spotlight. Imagine if fucking
what spotlight are we doing right now? What service are we offering to the NFL world right now by not being able to talk about Perrion Winfrey?
It's basically a vehicle for us to tell jokes.
Well, yeah.
I'll tell you one thing about Perrion Winfrey is that was it Malik McDowell, the dude that got arrested this offseason that was part of the Browns? Like, that'll be a replacement for them for him, but...
You mean the guy who exposed himself in a school?
Yes, the guy that exposed himself in a school to a bunch of children. Yes, that guy.
He's the guy from A Clockwork Orange. I was gonna say, surely I'm sure it's much better in rounds 4 and 5, but 6 and 7, these are fucking schlubs. These guys aren't gonna get anywhere. Surely.
That's what you said. That's what they said about a certain quarterback out of Michigan.
Surely the better thing to do would be to make a.
Oh, now you've got a suggestion. No, honestly, I'm gonna clip that and I'm gonna post it on Twitter and copy in everyone's Twitter account of the names we've just mentioned today.
Like, if you're the Washington Commanders in the 7th round, and you could pick some like guy who won't do anything and won't go anywhere, or make some headlines. to draft a 38-year-old guy that declared.
You know what?
That gets everyone talking.
So are you going to declare for the NFL draft?
Look,
honestly, the best 7th rounder.
Respect him.
The 7th rounders are not to be dismissed. There's a little guy who was a 7th rounder, a certain Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I thought he went on.
Imagine if we as a podcast had been the first people to shine a light on Ryan Fitzpatrick, and we were like, man, this guy's crazy. He went to Harvard. Imagine we were the first people to be like, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Harvard guy, and we got in on the ground floor. That would have been awesome. So we can't let any more slip through the net. We have to pick 16 of them every year.
It's not a bad elevator to get on the ground floor of, but it only goes up to the middle.
And there's a lot of basement.
It's going to be fun to track them. Come on, look, we've got 2 left. We can get through this, I promise.
Okay, Ed, the 230 pick to the Washington Commanders. Offensive guard out of Tulsa, Chris Paul.
You're fucking full of it. No way did we get Chris Paul.
We got Chris Paul.
I hear he's a basketball player.
He's a 6'4", 324-pound basketball player. And when I tell you what, when he's rumbling to the rim, there are not many people willing to step in front of him and try and draw a charge.
The only scripted play he can do is a brick.
The college career stat on his Wikipedia is Paul was ranked as a 2-star recruit coming out of high school. He committed to Tulsa. He played in the Senior Bowl. That's all it says.
I mean, to be fair, Tulsa did not have a bad O-line, because this is a team that also had, was it Sean Ryan drafted in the first round? No, Tyler Smith drafted in the first round. So, I mean, potentially the Commanders are just like, well, let's hit and hope that the guard player next to this first round tackle might also be good. I think that's about as much as I can say.
Whoa!
Something's got to
Paul is a musical artist and produced an EP in 2020 under stage name The Seventh, and he grew up to be a 7th round pick.
Oh, an oracle!
Oh my god,
Chris Paul, he's going to be our guy. That's how we're.
Yeah, hold on. Did I just see? I think I just saw that his middle name is November. I'm just going to check that.
No,
and see if that's
Christopher
true.
Paul, born November.
Oh no, no, his nickname now is November.
Okay.
Okay, Chris November Paul. He was a member of a number of volunteer efforts in Tulsa, and took an active role in various groups that promote racial equality. After this, we're going to sit here and we're going to listen to one of his songs released as the 7th. And if it's really good, we're gonna at him and ask if we can use it as our podcast outro music.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, okay.
That's such a great idea.
But what if it's not good? then we have to.
Then we just have to
use it unlicensed.
yeah, we'll steal it from him. No, we won't steal it. You should never steal music from the artists. Unless it's Le'Veon Bell's rap career, in which case steal it whatever you want.
I would highly recommend you watch the 7th video for Mother Nature.
Oh man, we have to check this one out. Okay, let's wrap this up quickly so we can look it up.
Okay, the last one of our names, pick number 89, Terrell Bernard, Bernard, linebacker out of Baylor to the Buffalo Bills. We've had 3 Bills players so far, and 2 of them have been in the same position. Oh, I was so sick.
This is the Kyle Brandt guy, though. This is the
Kyle Brandt guy. Oh, it is. Okay, the best bit about Terrell Bernard is that he will forever be remembered for Kyle Brandt eating a fucking buffalo wing live on stage while absolutely gassing this guy up. What a great pick announcement.
I think he gassed him up and then he ate it. He wasn't eating the wing with a mouthful.
Well, no. Although that would have been incredibly Bills. That would have been such a Bills move, to be honest, to just fucking slam a buffalo wing into your mouth and then announce the pick. That would have been perfect. But yeah, that's Terrell Bernard. It basically makes whatever the fuck that guy's name that we talked about earlier on completely redundant because they've got someone better at linebacker. Balin Spector.
Balin Spector, yeah.
There you go. He was named first team all conference as a redshirt senior. Had 106 tackles with 7 sacks. So that's pretty nice, pretty tasty from Terrell Bernard. But this is the thing about like where the Bills were in terms of like they already have a decent enough squad right now that they could make these sort of luxury picks wherever. If Terrell Bernard works out for them, then it checks out.
I reckon of all of the guys that we've talked to today, outside of the first round guys, I think Terrell Bernard might have the chance to be the guy that in 3 years' time he's like because he's a linebacker and he plays for the Bills. He's going to be like the buzzy guy. He's going to be like Matt Milano.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, Terrell Bernard. Yeah, he's
and will have been there first.
Jumps off, and that's the whole point of this bloody exercise.
Yeah.
Round 0.
What happened? Like, what would have happened if we'd done this in like 2011 when the Steelers took like Antonio Brown from Michigan State in the 6th round? Like, we would have been able to get in on the ground floor. Would have been knowing that he was gonna turn out into the fucking psychopath.
Exactly. It's honestly gonna be great. Hang on. So that's us done here. What we need to do now is we need to get a coherent clip that we can post on social media. That we can tweet to the man Chris Paul, right? Because this guy Chris Paul, I mean, look, we've had our problems with this exercise. A lot of people don't consider late round picks to be that sexy, that exciting. But this guy, when he was at uni, he was in the Black Men's Initiative, the Future Alumni Council. He was a university ambassador, a student ambassador. I mean, this guy, he's doing all sorts of great stuff in the community, and a musical artist under the name of the Seventh. If that's not interesting to you as a story, I can't help you.
Yeah,
we are going to at him. We're going to at him, and we're going to ask it if we can use his songs on our podcast.
Yeah, that
because
sounds
this
like
is the
a
sort
good
of thing
plan.
we should be promoting.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be a good shout.
I mean,
we need to find out what his Twitter name is.
We're not going to tweet the wrong Chris Paul. There you go. That was a polished social media ready.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna chuck the outro clip on anyway, just in case we don't have the Chris Paul ready to go. But yeah, I'll chuck it on. Nobody speak.